Here's cut 4. This is Hunter Biden yesterday. He said something that the New York Times decided to quote by using a misquote. Listen to this.
Let me state as clearly as I can. My father was not financially involved in my business.
Stop. Why is that important?
Well, you know, Glenn, you have a song and then you remix it. And then there's a club mix and a dance mix and a disco mix. Mm-hmm. And eventually it's not the same song. Yeah. And that's where we are in the Hunter Biden saga.
They're not singing the same song here.
Because it was first, I've never spoken to my child, Hunter, about my business at all.
And he would say, I've never spoken to my father. Mm-hmm. Never spoken to my father
about was the initial claim.
Any of my business.
And that moved it got to, I've never spoken to him about the finances. I've never met with any of all these things have now been proven to be true.
And now
we've gone all the way to, what was the quote again?
My father was not financially involved
in my business. Now that is a massive leap because I think, if you're thinking about what we believe about Joe Biden, like, for example, there was a payment that went, we've talked about it before, and I'm not going to be able to exactly get it right.
It's China to the trust, to the shell corporations, actually through, I don't remember, it was Sri Lanka or some crazy place like that. China, Sri Lanka, then to the shell corporations, then to the lawyer, then the lawyer to, I think, Joe Biden's brother, Jim Biden.
Mm-hmm.
Then he wrote a check to all of the other Bidens, including one to Joe Biden that said
loan repayment.
But there's no paperwork or any kind of indication that money was ever loaned to Jim.
Right.
Yeah.
So now you could probably technically look at that arrangement and say that's not a financial involvement in the business, right? Like, he's not investing. Mm-hmm. It's not like Joe Biden's not investing money into that business.
He's getting repaid for loans.
He's getting repaid for loans, right?
That he never made.
But like, even the way it is now, like, it's clearly a payment, but it's not on the books as a financial investment in this company.
Correct.
No one's accusing him of investing in this company.
Look, here's the thing. Let's just look at this. Let's just look at this as a normal human being. First of all, my kid is doing drugs and hookers, and I know about it. I don't send him over to Ukraine to a job with a guy who literally beheads his enemies.
For any reason.
I never do that. I never do that. Mm-hmm. Okay. I never put my son, who is addicted to cocaine and everything else and hookers, I never put him in a situation to where it's going to make it worse, okay? I don't send him money to bail him out with his hookers. None of that. I don't think you do either. Now, here's something I might do. If my son was legitimate, I'm at the end of my career, I'm 78 years old, and my son is making money, and as long as I'm not making money, I'll pop in and just say hi to my son. He's with some clients. I'm not going to do anything for him. I'm not going to do anything for those clients, but I pop in, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not taking any money from it.
Oh, God, no.
Yeah.
But you could see yourself walking and go, hey, I'm so glad, you know my son. It's great to meet you. And then those people go back and tell their little stories. Oh, my gosh. And then Joe Biden walked in. The vice president walked in.
Correct.
You can see that being something that you do as
But that's not the only thing he did.
No.
He would take private conferences with them.
Dinners
with them. Mm-hmm. He would get their kids into colleges.
He was certainly, at the very least, part of a threat for payment.
Yes.
Now, we don't know for sure if
my dad will make you miserable.
Yeah, exactly. We know that he was at least using his dad. That's at least what we know. Mm-hmm. And we know they were in the same location at the time of that message.
And I think if you and your wife, or your wife and your husband had Hunter Biden as your son, and you really believed the things that you had said, I wasn't involved in that. I wasn't. I did meet with some people, but you believed that all the way. And you believed your son was struggling. But at this point, this is going on. He's now in contempt of Congress, okay? At some point you say, son, you're get out of jail free cards. I'm sorry, but you've humiliated me and the family, and quite honestly, yourself and your children. And I don't want your children to believe that they can get away with the kind of stuff. And maybe it's my fault because I raised you like this. I don't know. But no more. No more. And I would come out and say, I'm really embarrassed. I'm embarrassed by my son. My son is sick. I've done everything I can, but I'm sorry. I'm the president of the United States. Now, I would say that just as me, just as a dad. If he had embarrassed our entire family like this over this many years, nope.
You probably have members of your family, or at least people that their family, who have, basically excommunicated members because of things they've done to damage the family unit. After a while, listen to Dr. Laura for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Listen to one of those calls where people call up, hey, what should I do? My husband ripped us off and he hit my daughter and blah, 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 but I want to stay married. Get them out of your life.
Yeah. Or get off my phone. I have sympathy for you.
No sympathy.
At some point, you have no sympathy. Yeah. You are a part of it.
Yep.
You are part of the sickness.
But so... And speaking of remixes, because you get down this road, I was actually listening to, it was ABC News this morning, and what has been the constant refrain from the media on this entire topic?
They have nothing.
They have no evidence, right? They keep saying this. They have no evidence. They have no evidence. They're talking about the impeachment inquiry this morning. I'm listening to it, and they now say the remix has started on this.
Okay, before you get to ABC,
yeah.
Let me tell you what AOC said yesterday. Here's AOC on that very point.
That not only is the committee not allowing Hunter Biden to testify publicly, but they have not called a single witness, a single first-hand witness to any of their allegations. They haven't allowed anybody to testify publicly because they do not have a single witness to any of their alleged allegations. They don't.
They've done interviews.
They've
publicly done interviews about this. Like, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
She is a buffoon.
I'm telling you,
it's pure and simple.
The American people that still buy into this and watch CNN or ABC or any of these networks that will play that without saying that's untrue. You're a moron.
But that has been their role for a while. Now, of course, this evidence has existed for years. It was out before the 2020 election.
I know.
Some of it. However, it really has. We've learned a lot more over the past year. ABC said they still kind of claimed this is stuff they're going in. They want this impeachment inquiry, but they don't really have evidence to prove. They don't have proof of this. Now evidence has turned to proof, and I think that's interesting because look. Having proof of something is you're in court arguing with all of the evidence you need. The Republicans explicitly said the reason they're doing this inquiry is to get the evidence and the witnesses they're trying to get on record to be forced to actually come. Right? The problem is they're just saying no right now.
Right.
So they have to make this formal so that these witnesses have to show up and answer these questions. And there will be plenty of witnesses. We've had whistleblowers. We've had we've had business associates. We have text messages. We have bank records. There's a ton of evidence. The other thing they said, though, is while they don't have proof of all of this, what they have shown is a series of statements from Joe Biden that are misleading or outright
lies.
They didn't use the word lies. They said something else. It was some other word close to lies, but not quite. And I did notice that there was a difference there. Contradictions, I believe, is the way they said that. But think about this, and we bash the Republicans all the time for good reason. They let us down often. But let me look for just one bit of sunlight here. The Republicans got elected by what? 3 or 4 seats, right? Mm-hmm. That's it. It's, they don't have a lot of power. As we said, and I said this to you, you said this as well, Glenn, back in 2022, the main thing they're going to be able to accomplish are these investigations.
Yes.
They're not going to be able to pass laws. No. They're not going to be able to, they'll be able to block the worst case stuff from the Biden administration. That's number one. And number two, they'll be able to do investigations. This is, Joe Biden said, my son, this is where it started. We didn't even get the starting point right of the song before the remixes. His first statement was, my son has done nothing wrong. Nothing. We couldn't even get him to say, look, he's a disaster, but it's not me. He didn't even say, well, he's done a lot of mistakes, but nothing was illegal. My son has done nothing wrong. When was he saying that? May of this year.
Oh, my gosh.
May of this year, Joe Biden was still saying his son had done nothing wrong. The Republicans have moved this ball down the field in impressive fashion over the past 6 months. And it is something we should notice because they have actually done a good job moving this.
I think the
weaponization
really of government committee and the Hunter Biden investigation committee, I think both of those have done a remarkable job. Remarkable.
Every once in a while, you got to stop and say they've done something right, too.
In just exposing, and like you said, they can't stop it.
It might not lead to anything. They might still lose elections. They might not get to the end of this. They might blow it in some way. All that's true. But we do know a lot more now than even we did a year ago. Even conservative, talk show listeners knew. Like they have learned things, they have proved things, and they've even moved the mainstream media to have to admit some of the stuff.
Okay.